Welcome to News Hour on Aflao Tv, the heart of Africa. We are transmitting from Avweme Aflao in the Ketu South municipality of the Volta region. You can get us on Facebook, YouTube, and other social media platforms. Our doors are open to the general public to sponsor our programs in order to deliver quality programming to our audience. Now the stories making the headlines. The Food and Drugs Authority is cautioning the general public against patronizing COVID-19 vaccine advertised online. Rainstorm destroys buildings of 5 basic schools in the Southern district of the Volta region. In business, government to raise $5 billion from the ICM funding program. Across our borders to Equatorial Guinea, where the death toll in the military camp blast has risen to 105. This and many more coming your way. My name is Gawuga Vicentia. Stay tuned. Now the stories in detail. The Food and Drugs Authority has asked the public not to patronize products offered online, supposedly being advertised as COVID-19 vaccines. The FDA issued the alert in statement released on Tuesday, March 9, 2021. According to the FB, the alert has become necessary as a result of reports of the seizure of fake vaccine in South Africa. The FDA also added that online advertising, offering for sale and supply of medicinal products, including the COVID-19 vaccine, are strictly prohibited.
The FDA also cautioned courier services, including shippers and freight forwarders, against bringing into Ghana any unauthorized vaccines, since such practices would be in contravention of Section 118 of the Public Health Act and FDA's guidelines for emergency use authorization of medical products. COVID-19 vaccines are to be expressly imported only by and through the Ministry of Health, the statement warned. The public is therefore advised to report to the FDA any suspicious activities relating to the advertising and offering of sale and supply of COVID-19 vaccines and or related products, adding that all reports or complaints shall be treated in confidence. The FDA emphasizes that the only COVID-19 vaccine authorized for use in Ghana are the Sputnik V and Covishield vaccines. Furthermore, the importation and deployment of these two vaccines in the country are under the control of only the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service, respectively. The government of Ghana received its first batch of Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by the Serum Institute of India under the General Global Access COVAX facility on Wednesday, February 24, 2021. So far, Ghana has received more than 700,000 COVID-19 vaccines for its vaccination program.
About 1,000 pupils of 5 basic schools in the southern district of the Volta region have been displaced by the severe rainstorm that hit their school last Thursday afternoon. Even though no casualties were recorded in the disaster, the affected pupils cannot have a conducive atmosphere for any effective work until the situation is completely fixed.
The 5 schools heavily affected by this latest disaster in the Southern constituency are the Dabala Komboni RC Basic, Jebetato DA Basic, Dabala EP Basic B Kindergarten, Lakpo DA Kindergarten, as well as the Anyi Jekpo DA Basic School. At the Double RC school, for instance, the rainstorm ripped off the roofing of parts of the junior high school block, which was constructed in the early 90s. The school's canteen mid-shaft structure completely razed down, likewise some trees on the compound, which were supposed to be serving as windbreaks. Part of the furniture stock of the school was also damaged by the storm. The news team observed that the entire structure of the school was not only in a very deplorable state but also need urgent and a complete renovation. Reverend Father Robert Eliklin Juicy Vedanku is the local manager of the RC schools in the area and the parish priest of the St. John the Baptist RC Church at Dabala.
There was a rain and a heavy wind, and then the wind took the roof of the classroom block. And then we thank God that the student closed. The incident happened around 2:30 thereabout, and thank God we did not have any casualty. We saw the things, and then we just appealing to those in charge, the government, to come to the aid of the school. In fact, the students, they need a classroom, and then because learning activity must go on, they must study, and they don't have that. So we are just appealing to the government, the NGOs, those who can assist us to re-roof the classroom block.
At the Jebetato DA Basic School in the Agave Educational Circuit, the entire structure of the school from kindergarten to the junior high school was seriously affected. The destruction also extended to the ICT building of the school, in addition to the mid-shaft structure constructed by the Jebetato community to provide classroom accommodation for the junior high school pupils. The acting headmaster of the school, Believer Hoto, spoke to the news team, lamenting that the situation is a bizarre one that has bedeviled the school and the community.
Happened accidentally in the hour of 2:04 that way when school closed down. And that very day too, director came and visited the school. And she also left to other schools in the circuit. And then the cloud just gathered, and then we have to quickly rush the children home. So I quickly informed my colleague teachers around. After the rain, all of us, we came down here, and it's rather unfortunate. The whole structure was condemned. And as it stands now, it affects the academic of the school. The school children are now at home temporarily until further notice before we will come back for academic work to begin.
The assembly member for the area, Doe Peter Newton, commended the leaders of the community for their high communal spirit that is contributing to the promotion of the higher education standards in the area.
The community have been doing well. As this building have collapsed, we have put another structure. As you can see, the new one who behind there is the community who have contributed and do it. They have sold school uniforms, buy books, computers and things to support the school. That have made the Betato have become a great school in the constituency. Last 2020 BEC, they have did well. This year too, they have did. So I appreciate the effort that the community was doing. The togetherness that we have as a unity that we are doing. And I believe this will happen to the community will do something to support what the assembly, the MP and the district director of education, their support, the community too will do something to support it.
We are going for a short break. Stay tuned for more stories. Welcome back from the break. Now, your world of business. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers (COPEC) is set to launch a policy that will protect the interests of fuel consumers who have to deal with the consequence of the negligence of fuel station attendants and the sale of adulterated fuel products by some oil marketing companies. The scheme, in partnership with the Ghana Standard Authority, is to ensure fuel consumers are protected. Duncan Amwa, the executive secretary of COPEC, stated that what this trusted trade scheme does is to put in place insurance for the tractor driver and the average Ghanaian user.
In case you buy fuel from any of these outlets and there are challenges, the liability doesn't even go to the outlet. A scheme is in place with an insurance package that says you've suffered damages because something wrong was occasioned, and so there is compensation already in there for you. What that also means is that those stations that signed on to the trader scheme are simply going to be on 24 hours surveillance, so they do not do the wrong thing. In recent times, users of fuel products have been left disenfranchised by the actions of several oil marketing companies (OMCs). Despite the negative impact of the actions of such OMCs, there is still no form of compensation for owners and drivers who are affected. Emmanuel Boateng is a sales executive and has been a victim. His regular visit to a fuel station one day turned into a whole nightmare. Petrol instead of diesel was pumped into his car, even though Emmanuel could not be blamed in any way for the incident. He still had to pay for his car to be fixed. Emmanuel is not the only one who has been caught up in such an unfortunate incident. Many people have had such terrible experiences, causing them several heart-end cedis. Emmanuel believes the move by Quebec is timely, and if it had been in place when his unfortunate incident happened, he wouldn't have felt the impacts that much. According to him, it would have made a huge difference because he wasted about 400 Ghana cedis because he paid the mechanic and also for the fuel. That is the half tank that got wasted. It would have made a huge difference and he wouldn't have wasted that much, Emmanuel pointed out.
Now in sports. The Member of Parliament for the Southern constituency in the Volta region, Honorable Wisdom Kobena Mensah Woyome, has extended his support to the residents of Agave Afedome electoral area through the Assembly member, Honorable Christian Voyiho. The latest donation package was made up of 15 bags of cement, a net as well as goalposts for the community.
The cement is expected to be used to construct footsteps from the community to the riverside at Gojakwota to ease movement and also promote tourism activities in the area. The net and global post would go a long way to promote sports among the youth, particularly in the soccer space, whose talents abroad in the South Tongu district, including the Agave Afedome electoral area.
Kova jena be nanaka de malaji le ntomio ta wi fe nya di be mia no awo ma lia da ale bena no ba vama yen to nya ti ma vana aduana nya be enu yo ovanyeke for the people of Afaduma, where you have to cross the tributary to get to. They are aware of the need for some cement for the construction of some steps that will lead to the mainland. And so the requests have been fulfilled. And so it's my wish that you put it to the use for which it was requested for. And so we again want to pledge to even give you more support from time to time in the course of its usage. And there's a need for any further support. Don't hesitate to let me know so that I can always do the needful, so that the people of that area can easily access the land, the mainland, when getting down from the canoe. So these are the bags of cement for that project.
We're going for a short break. Stay tuned for more stories. Welcome back from the break. Now, international news. More than 131,000 people have been displaced in 39 accessible locations of Ethiopia's Tigray region and neighboring Afar and Amhara, according to a survey report. In a statement on Tuesday, the International Organization for Migration said its displacement tracking matrix survey is the first official data of this type on the crisis in northern Ethiopia, which began in November 2020. On November 3, 2020, the new Outlaw Tigray People's Liberation Front and its special force attacked the northern command of the Ethiopian National Defense Force, killing soldiers and looting military hardware. Although Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed declared that military operation was over on November 28th last year, there have been sporadic clashes between government forces and fighters loyal to the Liberation Front. Many displaced persons, including women and children, reported are in need of emergency shelter, food, and access to clean and safe drinking water. Al Jazeera TV has the following report on the latest crisis in the Tigray region.
This is the only health facility at Village 8 refugee camp near Sudan's border with Ethiopia. Dozens come here for medical assistance each day. Teklo Wuldai says he was warned by doctors back in his home country Ethiopia that he was developing cardiac problems. Now he says days of walking to flee from fighting in Ethiopia's Tigray region and standing in line for aid and for treatment is making him feel worse.
I was told to be careful, not to exhaust myself, to take care of my diet. But since I had to flee, my chest pains have been increasing, and when I come here, there's often a long line or no doctor.
For hundreds of patients in the camp that hosts more than 15,000, the center is the first and sometimes the only place to seek treatment. Despite that, it has little to offer to patients, all who fled to escape fighting from Tigray.
I wasn't suffering from anything when I was back at my cadre. I've been struggling to get medication since I got here, and the treatment is very poor.
More than 45,000 refugees have been displaced by the fighting in Tigray. It started 3 weeks ago following a government offensive on the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The offensive was a response to an attack by the front on a military base and came after months of tension between the regional government and the federal government. 2 camps have been opened in Sudan to cope with the influx of refugees. But providing services, especially health services, is challenging as more and more refugees continue to arrive. The camp here has 3 doctors who are also refugees to tend to the sick.
We don't have even a single microscope. We cannot do blood film for malaria. We don't have at least basic serologic tests that could be of some benefit. There are many cases with chronic diseases like diabetes and cardiac diseases, but we don't have the drugs. We don't have a single item of anti-diabetic drug, for instance.
Sudan's Commission of Refugees says it's trying to assist the refugees with access to health care, but needs support from organizations to be able to help the sick.
What's needed is for health organizations to provide emergency medications. The refugee community is now mingling with the local community, and some turn to local health facilities to get treatment. Health organizations need to step up to ensure that refugees have proper health care.
Most refugees here say they don't know how long they'll remain in this camp or if they will be relocated to places with better facilities. But they say they hope their calls for assistance will be listened to before a medical crisis occurs. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Al Fashaga, Gadarif State.
To an international news. The death toll from 4 explosions that rocked a military camp in Equatorial Guinea and surrounding areas rose to 105 with the discovery of 7 more corpses, state television said on Tuesday. A total of 615 people were injured in Sunday's accidental blast at the Nkwantoma camp in the country's economic hub, Bata, which divested buildings at the compound and houses in surrounding districts. President Theodore Oban, who has ruled the oil-rich country with an iron fist for 42 years, once again blamed the military for negligence in stocking ammunition so close to residential areas. He has previously spoken of stable burning by local farmers setting off the tragedy.
State television channel TVG said 7 more bodies were found on Tuesday buried under rubble. On Monday, it said more than 60 survivors had been found trapped under debris, including 2 children aged 3 and 4. TVG has shown images likened to a war zone with rescue workers and civilians struggling to remove bodies from smoking ruins. Obian on Tuesday said the officers in charge of the camp, which houses special forces and gendarmes and their families, had been careless. Dynamite is normally stocked very far from people and kept underground, he said. The Defense Ministry said blasts caused by heavy caliber ammunition caused shock waves which totally destroyed numerous homes nearby. On Tuesday, residents said Bata was calm, but they feared more blasts were possible. People continue to send their families to villages in the interior of the country because they think that Sunday's explosions were a warning and the worst could still happen. Bata resident Pastor Oyono told AFP by phone. Another resident, Mba Mambian, said, "We are still in shock. We are also still afraid." The only Spanish-speaking country in sub-Saharan Africa, Equatorial Guinea, is one of the most closed-off nations in the continent. Bata is home to 800,000 of the country's 1.4 million people, most of whom live in poverty despite the country's oil and gas wealth. The capital, Malabo, on the island of Bioko. Its ruler, Obian, is the world's longest-serving sitting president and is frequently accused by rights groups of abuses. Adding to the difficulty is understanding the full scale of the tragedy. Air and sea lanes have been shut off for weeks due to coronavirus restrictions. Only military and government aircrafts have made the trip over since the explosions. The president has meanwhile called for foreign help to address the tragedy. Spain, the former colonial power, announced that an airplane will leave Madrid on Wednesday with drugs and medical equipment. The United States Embassy said Washington is also sending experts to help with damage assessment and reconstruction.
We are going for a short break. We'll be right back. got for you today. But before we go, a recap of the headlines. The Food and Drugs Authority is cautioning the general public against patronizing COVID-19 vaccine advertised online. Rainstorm destroys buildings of 5 basic schools in the Southern district of the Volta region. Government to raise $5 billion from the ICM funding program across our borders to Equatorial Guinea, where the death toll in the military complex has risen to 105. A big thanks to you. My name is Kawo.